For our project, we wanted to analyze the effectiveness and feasibility of local community gardens in the Bay Area. We wanted to know how useful and effective they are, what the issues they face are, and what their impacts on the community are. To research this, we surveyed roughly 30 local community gardens in the Bay, including Oakland, Emeryville, and SF, and also utilized the GilTracts research database. So, how does urban agriculture address the growing problem of food security in the U.S.? One way we can address this problem as a whole is by addressing food security in our communities. Food security means that safe and nutritious food is consistently available, accessible, and reasonably priced. In 2012, 10% of all adults in the Bay Area reported being food insecure, which approached a statewide average of 14%. What are the barriers to food security? One is physical access, another is educational access, next is cultural access, and finally the last barrier is economic access. In all the data we garnered, we found that urban gardens mainly implement two strategies in improving food access to the Bay. The first strategy is to have a target audience to focus food initiatives on. Brooks Park Community Gardens in SF reported that 61 to 80% of their neighborhood is Asian, and so they produce Asian produce accordingly. Here at City Slicker Farms, they take into account race, ethnicity, and income into account. The second strategy is to make healthy food available in neighborhoods.
Earlier in the semester, we watched Ken Cook's TED Talk about how food stamps were helpful but not sufficient. Families were running out of food too soon, and children were going to bed hungry. Now, what if I said that community gardens could potentially fix this problem? You might think that gardens aren't practical, feasible, or able to produce enough food to feed a community. But is this true? Miguel Altieri, a professor of agroecology at UC Berkeley, begs to differ. His research indicates that Oakland has about 1,200 acres of land that could feasibly be brought into production. In terms of annual yield, 1,200 acres can produce about 55 million pounds of food, enough to feed 125,000 people. This sounds pretty optimistic, so let's see how much food a community garden can actually produce. The UC GilTract in Berkeley grows its produce on 1 acre of land and had an annual yield of about 19,000 pounds. Last year, the City Slicker Farms in West Oakland had an annual harvest of about 33,000 pounds. Not only do these community farms grow healthy, sustainable, and nutritious food, but they grow it abundantly. The City Slicker Farms survey reported that 40% of their participants get at least half of their weekly produce from the garden. For families in need, this additional source of food would definitely mean less nights of going to bed hungry.
For all the potential that urban gardens may have, they are not currently a fix-all. Our research revealed numerous concerns affecting community gardens. For example, the majority of the gardens we surveyed had wait lists. To our surprise, the wait times averaged over 2 years, making it potentially difficult for new farmers to enter the field. Additionally, each garden surveyed was at least partially funded by dues from its members. This raises a natural tension between low-income farmers and urban farming as a major food source. There are also fundamental challenges of farming in urban environments. Soil and water pollution, relatively expensive land, high water requirements, and concerns about inefficient land use increase the difficulty involved in urban gardening.
So why choose community gardens? Community gardens supplement food security efforts by increasing availability of healthy and nutritious foods to low-income urban residents. While a community garden is unable to entirely supply a neighborhood, its main value in the larger neighborhood scale comes from educating the populace on what healthy food is and creating a habit of valuing healthy food. Community gardens allow consumers to know exactly where their food comes from. The Food Systems Project here in Berkeley works in collaboration with the Berkeley Unified School District to link community gardens to schools, which helps provide healthy and nutritious meals to school children.
Let's hear from some interviews from our research project about the benefits of urban agriculture. Some people who were surveyed by the UC GilTract Farm explained how they would prefer food from urban gardens over grocery stores because they know where their food comes from. Along with that, the food is much more affordable than grocery stores, sometimes even being free. But one of the most interesting aspects from our research is that many actually found urban volunteer gardening as helping out with their health. One aspect is dietary knowledge. Since they know the food was grown organically and without pesticides, it allows for people to avoid GMOs and chemicals and get more nutrients. Studies have also shown that working with plants and outdoors benefits mental health, outlook, and wellness. Slicker Farms has a program for mental health patients to be able to volunteer at their garden. The quote on the bottom shows of a woman who has found much peace and comfort through her mental health problems when helping out at her local urban garden in West Oakland. Overall, our research has shown that a lot of consumers are very pleased with their experience with urban agriculture as it has many benefits. They are effective and feasible.